A few years ago, Tim Churches contacted me asking if I would make a video with a new module he had developed with a couple of colleagues from around the world. Those videos, using the Ornament Crime, have been our most popular videos by far. Since then, a new alternative firmware has emerged called Hemisphere Suite, and a lot of you have requested that we cover it. This new firmware includes more than 60 different modes, ranging from envelopes to Euclidean rhythm generators, to odd forms of sequencers, and more. With a few exceptions, 2 modes can run side by side, splitting the input and output connectors and module controls between the 2 sides. The left portion of the screen displays one mode, which is controlled via the left encoder and the up button. Trigger and CV inputs 1 and 2 are dedicated to the left app, along with outputs A and B. The right side is controlled by the right encoder and down button, along with trigger and CV inputs 3 and 4 and outputs C and D. Pressing the up or down button will switch the appropriate hemisphere into selection mode. Turning the related encoder will scroll through the modes. Pushing the encoder or the button selects the currently highlighted mode. Each app has a built-in help window, accessible by double pressing the corresponding hemisphere button. The help screen describes the use and functionality of the hemisphere inputs and outputs for the currently selected mode. Hemisphere Suite also includes a number of standalone modes that do not operate in the dual mode arrangement. Upon first startup, the firmware will bring you to a mode selection menu, also accessible at any time by pressing and holding the right encoder for 2 seconds. We will examine each of these modes in separate videos. To simplify patching, a master clock mode has been included, allowing a clock signal patched to trigger input 1 to be internally multed to trigger input 3 for use in both hemispheres at a time, assuming the hemispheres are both in clock-responsive modes. Press and hold the left encoder for 2 seconds to enable the master clock mode, and a small clock icon will appear in the upper right corner of the app display, next to the mode name. Press and hold the left encoder for 2 seconds again to disable the clock. There's also an internal clock accessible by pressing and holding the down button. Here we gain access to tempo in beats per minute and clock multiplier parameters that will be applied to any current mode that responds to clock. After pressing the down button to exit the clock controls, a small metronome icon will appear on the screen, indicating the internal clock is enabled. To start or stop the internal clock, press and hold the left encoder. To save your settings as the default at startup, press and hold the right encoder for 2 seconds. This will bring up the application selection menu. Press and hold the right encoder again for 2 seconds, and the current settings will be saved. With the dual functionality of most of the apps, the real fun starts when you begin to inbreed the hemispheres, routing the outputs of one mode to control the inputs of the other. One of my favorite combinations is to take the outputs of the annular fusion Euclidean rhythm generator and route them to trigger the boots and cats kick and snare trigger inputs. 2 Euclidean rhythm sequencers playing back lo-fi kick and snare patterns. Pretty cool. We'll look at more combinations as we examine the many modes in Hemisphere Suite in the coming weeks, so be sure to subscribe to follow those. Ornament Crime is already exceptionally useful, but the Hemisphere Suite adds some very easy-to-use, convenient synth tools, which make this even more of a must-have module. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more Hemisphere Suite videos in coming weeks. Our Mod City live show streams every Saturday at noon Pacific Standard Time, so come join us for more modular synth, sound design, and production fun then. And don't forget, patch smarter.